This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the regular appearance behind me, but welcome back to the ice. The Edmonton Oilers at Rogers Place. Yes, sirree. It is Monday, and we are finally, right? We talked about this over the weekend. It is Monday, June 8th, and our Edmonton Oilers, 5 of them all told, have returned back to the ice at Rogers Place. It's been a long journey, It's been a long time. But here we are, getting that much closer day by day by day as we get closer to the return of hockey in the 24-team playoff format and that play-in series against the Chicago Blackhawks, which will be a best of 5. Oh, I didn't expect to be this pumped up, excited, nervous after a 5-hour, 15-minute drive from Cold Lake this morning. But hey, here we are. Getting in town, sitting down, looking at my phone, and seeing the boys are back in town. Nothing much better than that. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me get to who was on the ice this morning for our Edmonton Oilers, and then of course who I'm expecting to kind of see next, or however you want to kind of play that one out. So let me get this one. This one's big. It's ugly. Let me move that down and take that out, and let's get to it. So the official tweet, as of about 2 hours ago from the Edmonton Oilers, probably about 3 hours now, Alex Chiasson, Matt Benning, Chris Russell, Tyler Benson, and Stuart Skinner are on the ice for the Oilers today at Rogers Place as Phase 2 of the NHL's return to play plan is officially underway. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Welcome home, fellas. Yeah, there ain't nothing better than that. You can see they're still doing the socially distancing thing, but that was probably more so for a photo op than realistic training, because now after touching the cats, my nose is itchy, of course. You guys know how that works. You guys keep a look on that tweet for a second and let me find this whole tweet here from Ryan Rashog today about how this will work moving forward. So, Benning, Russell, Chiasson, Benson, Skinner on the ice for Phase 2. Note these 5 plus one more must stay together for all of Phase 2. So that's what you're going to have. You're going to have your groups of 6 stuck together for all of Phase 2 training. Or conditioning. I guess conditioning is a better word for it. There is no mixing groups once they've started. Will be interesting to see if guys try and group in lines and pairs as they return. So right there, right? Guys are going to essentially try to group up, pair up, and get going. And, well, figure back a second here to who's on the ice today. Benning, Russell. That's been a pair for the Edmonton Oilers for going on 2 years now, pretty much, since Russell towards the end of last year went back to being with Matt Benning, and then of course this year he's been a solid steady guy with Benning, and that's been a good little pair, that's for sure. And now you've got them paired up in a group in Phase 2, so you kind of see where that's going. Now, how do you make sense of Chiasson and Benson being together? Well, we've heard news that Jujhar Khaira's been training with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jujhar Khaira be the guy to join this group. Obviously, you could mention Haas, you could mention whatever, but I think in all things being equal, Chiasson is a power play guy on this team. He's an important piece of the league's #1 power play in 2019-2020, and I would expect to see him in the lineup. And if you're going to start getting in the lineup, you're going to start throwing together your lines. So the only part that throws off the Jujhar Khaira theory would of course be that Tyler Benson is in there, unless there's an injury we don't know about, heaven forbid, but I doubt it. So realistically, it's just a bunch of guys training together at this point, other than what you can distinctly put together of Russell and Benning. But my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to it. But there's implications now, right? Just like I said, the lines, the stuff like that. You see Stuart Skinner there. If it's groups of 6, which we already knew as of the weekend, and, well, groups of 6, You're probably going to carry, I think the number's somewhere closer to 30, so you'll probably see 5 groups of 5 minimum, or 5 groups of 6 guys out there on the ice at any given time. And that does make sense, right? You'd have your full line up front, you'd have a defensive pair, and of course you'd have a goaltender. Now you're asking me, Tyson, do the Oilers have 5 goalies that would work? Well, according to everything I've understood of this whole plan to return, you can carry an unlimited amount of goalies. So, realistically, do the Oilers have enough goalies to return? Yes, they do, as long as Shane Starrett's back to full health, which he probably very full is. And anyone in Baco that can correct me on that or give me an update there, that'd be great. But you've got Stuart Skinner, who we've mentioned today, Smith Koskinen, Starrett, and of course Dylan Wells, as well as Olivier Rodrigue and Angus Redmond within the 50 contract situation. I don't know if Rodrigue would... Oh, hold on. Actually, let me correct myself on that quickly, because I think when it comes to Rodrigue, he is not eligible to play this year unless they really mess with the entry-level slides and stuff. Let me just go over there and check that. No, Rodrigue did sign. So Rodrigue was signed through this year. So yeah, you've got a total of 6 goalies you can use when all is said and done. In fact, hold on. 7. What am I saying? 7. Forgetting Angus Redmond right there. But there you go. So that gives you a goalie you can sharpen up with each practice group. And that's good news, right? Obviously, you look at who's on the ice with a guy like Stuart Skinner. You're not putting Connor McDavid. You're not putting Leon Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Yamamoto against Stuart Skinner. That obviously not a terrible thing. Stuart Skinner might become that backup goalie we need next year if that's the case. But right, it's a guy's more skill level match so as they can work together and work better off of each other, I'd say, right? Stuart Skinner, a guy that Chris Russell can take shots at and probably score a couple. Not saying Stuart Skinner's a terrible goalie or Chris Russell's a terrible player, but it keeps the competitive balance within the training groups, right? If you've got D-rushes going on and stuff, you don't want to have Connor McDavid coming down on Stuart Skinner. Quite honestly, it's not the problem the other way around if you had Chris Russell, Matt Benning, Chason, and Benson against Mike Smith or Koskinen. It's the problem of having Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl's lines warming up against a guy like Stuart Skinner in phase 2, right? That's sure it's at least returning to the ice and getting pucks on net, but right, is you're not keeping that competitive balance of what Connor McDavid needs in a Mikko Koskinen or Mike Smith NHL caliber goalie. So that's where we'll kind of see this whole thing come together, and that's why I mentioned the Rashog tweet from earlier today. Is just simply put, right, is you've got to keep the competitive balance, you got to keep the lines together, and you got to figure out how to mesh everything together. So my best guess is we see Jujhar Khaira get in there with the pair or the group we've already seen today. Then you'll see Sheehan, Archibald, Nygaard. You'll see Athanasiou, Haas, Neal. You'll see, of course, I already mentioned them, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and then probably up top, Ennis, McDavid, and Kazian, if I've got my lines correctly placed in my head still. So that all makes sense. And then, of course, you got your spare forwards and stuff that'll intermittently mingle in there, because the problem is, even if you spare out 2D per pair, realistically, you're probably carrying 4 to 5 groups of D, and there's 6 groups total, so you'll have some room for some extra forwards, and that's where you'll probably see the Haas, Neal, and Athanasiou line warming up more so with those guys. The guys who aren't going to be playing the top line minutes in the play-in, you're probably going to want them just getting warm and just getting comfortable with the puck, as opposed to trying to get Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl fully back up to speed, so that you can just walk the Chicago Blackhawks in 3 games, call it good, and let's go to the first round of the playoffs sometime in August, right? So, I don't know. That's just kind of a couple of my theories on the whole idea. But the big news, I don't care what you think of my theories. I don't even know what I think of my theories. It's all just kind of gobbledygook thrown together by 2 tweets. But simply put, if the Oilers return to the ice, that's a good thing. Guess what? The Oilers return to the ice, that's a good thing. We're in. We're on track. We're getting going. We're gone. Let's get going, boys. The playoffs coming right away, ladies and gentlemen. She is going to be a good time. So, With that said, if you're new to Dolynny TV and you've stuck around this long, don't know how you have. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but hey, I'm glad if you did. And if you're returning, hey, I already know you enjoy hanging out, and we'll get back to live hockey right away here. So, with that said, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Man, if we could crush off 7,700 subs before we end up getting back to NHL season. Woo! Baby, those live streams are going to be good. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. I'm going to be heading on up out of here. I'll catch you in the next one.